Just because I gave birth doesn't make me a woman or a mother. And there needs to be space in the birthing world that allows me to show up as a birthing person. There is no language. There's no books. There's very few podcasts. When I was pregnant, I had very little support outside of my community as a birthing person because of the lack of inclusive language.
All right, guys, so I stumbled across this absolutely fascinating conversation on Dr. Phil's show that I want to talk about because it features a non-binary individual, this person right here, who's going to have this debate about gender identity and womanhood with other women. This woman right here happens to be a feminist. And I've always said that, you know, feminists or, you know, alleged feminists should be the main ones speaking out about this new form of patriarchy that has overtaken society, okay? Which is this idea that biological men can be women, okay? What we've seen is biological men start to dominate women's spaces, and true feminists should be upset with this, okay? They should be outraged, okay? Because this, in my opinion, if we're going to talk about the patriarchy, this right here is a form of the patriarchy, I don't know, maybe oppressing women, right? If that's the way you want to frame it, right? So they're going to talk about this, and they're going to debate gender identity in womanhood during this episode, and I want to talk about it. But before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of today's video, Organics Nature. So I read you guys' comments all the time. And one of the things that I see a lot in my comment section is people asking, how do you work so much? You must not ever sleep. Well, that's partially true. I do sleep sometimes, but the key is my diet, right? And the reason why is because diet is so important when it comes to energy. If you're dealing with low energy, then it means that something's probably wrong with your diet. And that is why today's sponsor is Organics Nature. Organics Nature has the natural solution for your body's energy needs, as sea moss contains 92 out of 102 minerals such as iodine, potassium, magnesium, that helps your body work optimally and efficiently. Combined with bladderwrack and burdock root, you can expect even greater health benefits. Not only is sea moss easy to take, but it's also convenient in the form of gummies and capsules, made with natural organic ingredients, so you feel good about what you're putting in your body. For a limited time only, get 50% off when you purchase your second sea moss based product. As you can see here, I have both the gummies and the regular capsules. And you can use discount code buy one get one 50% or BOGO50 at organicsnature.co/BCP. And don't wait, because your health is your wealth. All right, guys, so without further ado, let's get into it.
Have you ever heard the terms chest feeder, birthing body?
I don't think women should ever be demeaned to something so simple as chest feeders. It's just nasty.
For me, I like to be called a woman.
When we talk about rights for women, it sometimes excludes members of the LGBTQ community. So I think it's important to have those kind of terms.
Very disrespectful.
As a woman, I don't feel like that's appropriate, and it makes me feel like people like that use that term are superior to me.
As a trans woman, I think it's just really disrespectful because we all are all human.
You go to a university, you hear these types of terms.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me.
The pedestal that women are supposed to be put on is getting ripped out from under them. They are destroying the very things that they believe they're fighting for. It's dangerous to women, whether they realize that or not.
Well, I'm going to keep it 100 with you, right? The pedestal that we have put some women on, not all women, okay? Because not everybody deserves a pedestal. It's probably an issue as well, too, right? That's a whole nother issue. But in this video right here, we're dealing with feminists versus, you know, the transgender movement, right? Which, I mean, in this situation right here, you know, I kind of want to be neutral, but I'm leaning more towards reality, right? So I'm leaning towards siding more with the feminists, okay? Because I do believe in basic rights for women, okay? Especially their right to not have to share spaces or be forced to share spaces with men.
Well, the question is, by being more trans inclusive, are we erasing cisgender women, or as you were just saying, just woman? people whose gender identity matches the sex they were assigned at birth.
The way that you defined it is the way that it is ordinarily defined in society today by some, but it also assumes that there is such a thing called gender identity that we all have. That's an assumption, right? And it may turn out to be true. I don't think that it will, but it might. But it's important to at least acknowledge that we're making an assumption that gender identity is something we all have. I would say that I don't have one. I would just go back to saying I'm a woman because I'm an adult human female. I'm also a woman who cannot have babies. And I think it's very important to acknowledge that a woman who cannot have babies is a woman in a manner that it is not true that a male person could ever be a woman.
Yeah. I don't know what it is to disagree about that, right? I mean, she says, look, I'm not sure if everybody has a gender identity, which, again, the whole concept of gender identity really comes from woke academia, right? Where they say that, well, gender is separate from sex because gender is not a biological construct. It is a social construct in which we have gender roles based off things that have been socially constructed by society. Which I would argue that the way that we behave and the way we organize ourselves in society is based off biology, right? It is a reason why we have women who tend to take on roles that have to do more with being caretakers is because they have a hormonal profile, okay, or that they were born in a way that makes them better caretakers of children than men, okay? It is what it is, okay? They're more nurturing. They have a different set of emotions, right? Just like a man is built in a way genetically to be a protector and more of a provider than women. Because back in the day, men had to go out and hunt food. They had to fight wars. They had to be the protector and the provider. Again, we have these roles because biologically, this is the way that we were born. So even if you accept the idea that gender is a social construct, that social construct is still based on biology, okay? It just is, right? But me personally, she's taking a route that I normally take when it comes to these type of arguments is that I don't want to deal with gender, right? Like Richard Dawkins said in his interview with Piers Morgan, right? I don't want to deal with that nonsense, right? I deal with sex, okay? And if you keep the conversation about sex, it's impossible to lose one of these debates. It's impossible, okay? Because the argument should be, well, society is organized around sex. It should be organized around sex.
May I say something?
Yes, please.
So your gender identity, though, you just described yourself as a woman who can't have babies. That is a gender identity, just as my trans and non-binary identity is a gender identity. Just because it goes against the norms doesn't mean that your identity isn't any less of an identity than mine.
Well, it's not an identity as much as just a fact, right? It's a statement of biological fact and reality, okay? That's what it is.
So I would just say that that is not an identity. It is a biological reality.
Facts, right? Facts. It's a reality. It's not my identity. My identity is not a man, right? I am a man. I'm biologically a male, okay? It is what it is, okay?
That is what you say.
That's what you say.
Yeah. No, it's just what's true.
That's what you say. And it's fine. It's fine. I take it because I can't have babies either. But that's what you say. And what you say is not law.
Okay, but it's fact, right? It's just a biological fact, right? I mean, again, this is why I think some of these debates are a waste of time, because clearly you have people that are operating in reality and you have people who are not. These people right here, if they were operating in reality, would say, okay, well, yes, you're right. From a sex perspective, this is true. What you say is true. You are a female, okay? But from a gender ideology perspective, hey, you know, gender identity is a thing, okay? That would be somebody that, you know, I wouldn't agree with them on that, but at very least they would be somewhat close to reality. These people are nowhere even close, because they're basically telling her that her statement about biological sex is not true, right? That it's made up, that it's not law. Again, it's almost like talking to these people is a waste of time. You're talking to a brick wall here, okay? They're just not going to listen.
Can I just make the point that
you can make a point, girl.
Even non-functioning female anatomy is still female anatomy. So the fact that you can't have a child or you can't get pregnant, that doesn't diminish the fact that you are a woman, because you still have the anatomy to do so.
Those are two different things, though. Being a female anatomy, having female anatomy, and being a woman are two different things.
But they're not, though, because
they are.
This
well,
brings...
I could go get the anatomy.
Well, what is a woman then?
Why does it matter so much to have this differentiation? Why is it so important to hold on to this definition of biological
I could offer
feminine?
something.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm asking you.
So
why does it matter?
Dr. Phil in earlier was talking about how the women's movement has achieved certain objectives. Women have had to fight for our rights for thousands of years all over the world and for hundreds of years in this country because we have been discriminated against and excluded from public civil society, from the educational arena, from the legal arena, from numerous arenas on the basis of sex. And many of us who support those movements are not about to turn around and pretend that sex is not a meaningful legal and physical category.
Yeah, well, again, this is why I say that, you know, this is between the feminists and the trans folks. And I'm going to side with the feminists on this, right? But only to a certain extent. What you just heard there was the feminist spiel, was that, hey, we've been discriminated against and we've been fighting for all these rights, okay? And you know, we're not going to fight for these rights just for us to give up these rights to men who want to be women, which I agree with, right? And this is why I think more feminists, I don't understand how the feminist movement is so loud against the straight male patriarchy, right? But when it comes to these people, they're quiet, right? They really don't have much to say. Maybe it's because they get called TERFs, right? Like Anna Kasparian, okay? When, you know, she spoke out against the Looney Tunes on the left, they said that she's a TERF, right? So, I mean, I'm just saying, it matters because women's spaces are now being taken over by biological men. They're not allowed to compete fairly amongst each other when it comes to sports or, you know, beauty pageants or other things that traditionally have been reserved for women, okay? I actually do believe in women's rights enough that I don't think they should be forced to share a space with biological men, right? I don't want to replace them, okay? I don't want to replace them with men.
So why not have another group of women join your fight and it be more force in numbers
no kidding,
than for you to
we need
exclude
allies.
us based on what you're talking about?
All women are welcome to join the movement.
Do you mean trans women are welcome to join the movement?
I don't mean men, I mean women.
So you think trans women are men?
It's not a matter of opinion. We're talking about the material reality of biological sex, which is grounded in science and reality.
But sex and gender are different.
Women are female and men are male. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to say that. It really is.
It's okay for you to say it.
It's okay for anyone to say it.
Dr. Phil, may I bring it back around to your original question, please, about language? Because you said something that really...
This is Danny, by the way.
Yeah, my name is Danny. I'm a non-binary birther. For those of you who don't know, I gave birth to my child 20 months ago at home. It was beautiful. It was a spiritual experience.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I did it as a non-binary person, not as a woman, just to be very clear. Just because I gave birth doesn't make me a woman or a mother. And there needs to be space in the birthing world that allows me to show up as a birthing person. There's no language. There's no books. There's very few podcasts. When I was pregnant, I had very little support outside of my community as a birthing person because of the lack of inclusive language. Inclusive language isn't just about language, it's about opening doors, it's about safety, it's about creating space for others. We don't want to push women out. We want to join you in your fight because we know what it feels like to be erased every single day, and I would not wish that upon anybody.
So you don't want the term woman and the category of biologically defined woman to be erased?
Absolutely not.
And you don't want that either?
Not at all. Not at all. I agree with Danny 100%. We love women. They are at the front for it. But we need to be included in this mission that they're on because we're here. Regardless of what you say my genitals are, I'm still here representing myself as the woman of trans experience that I am.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I really don't know what to make of some of these people, bruh. Like, real talk, okay? Because they contradict themselves so much, right? On one hand, they say, well, we don't want to erase the biological definition of woman, okay? We don't want to do that. We're not trying to erase women. And then on the other hand, they say, well, biology's not real, right? Gender identity is real. Biology isn't, okay? Again, I really don't get it. I really don't understand it. If you give birth, then therefore you are a mother, right? You're a female, okay? You are a female. You are a woman if you give birth, okay? Or if you were born a female, then you are a female, right? You are a woman, okay? That's just reality, man. But a lot of people don't want to accept that, and they don't understand that, hey, no, you can't be a part of the woman's movement because you're not a woman, right? You're not a woman. You are a male. And even if you are a male that tries to identify as a woman, you still can't have the full experience of what it's like to be a woman. Therefore, you know, yeah, you're not going to be a part of the women's rights movement. I'm sorry. It is what it is. You can be a part of the, you know, hey, transgender movement or whatever, and that's fine. But, you know, there are no rights that you don't have, okay? There are no rights that you don't have, okay? You have all the rights that you could possibly have. I mean, at this point, you're fighting for special privileges, not rights, okay? And that's, I think, what really is the core of the argument here against some of this woke progression is that, you know, some of these extra privileges that are being afforded to trans people, they're coming at the expense of biological women, okay? Because for whatever reason, people don't want to operate in biological reality. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.